Hello and welcome to a new episode of 7 Facts. If you love geography or history, subscribe right now. I promise it'll be worth it. Appenzell Ausserrhoden is a canton that forms part of the Swiss Confederation. Its name comes from the Latin abbatis cella, meaning estate of the abbot, referring to the Abbey of St. Gall, which exerted a great influence in the area. The canton is just 253 square kilometers and has just 55,000 inhabitants. Nevertheless, it has an equal status of a federated state, just like the others, with a few minor exceptions, due to which it is often unofficially referred to as a half-canton. Appenzell Ausserrhoden's history has been marked by one major internal conflict, the Appenzell Wars. The wars were a successful uprising of cooperative groups such as farmers of Appenzell or the craftsmen of the city of St. Gallen against the traditional medieval power structure represented by the House of Habsburg and the Prince-Abbot of the Abbey of St. Gall. The major issues were over grazing rights, taxes and tithes, and brought about a conflict that was on and off for almost 70 years, from 1360 to 1429. Following this conflict, Appenzell gained its independence from the abbey, but 1 century later, trouble knocked on the canton's door once more. This time, it was the movement started by Martin Luther that stirred things up. Preachers of the Protestant Reformation arrived in Appenzell in 1522, and pretty soon the canton was divided. By 1525, the Ausserrhoden part converted to the Reformation, while the Innerrhoden part remained mainly Catholic. This is why today there are 2 Appenzell cantons, Ausserrhoden and Innerrhoden. One major and surprising fact about Switzerland is that as recently as 30 years ago, some Swiss women had no right to vote. The first canton to grant voting rights to women was Vaud in 1959. Several other cantons followed in the next decades, and finally, in 1971, 66% of male voters across the nation agreed women should be allowed to vote in federal elections. But even with this referendum, not all cantons fell into line. Many more years ticked by, and in 1989, women of Appenzell Ausserrhoden still couldn't vote on cantonal matters. It was only in April that year that women were given the right to vote after a narrow all-male vote. The capital of Appenzell Ausserrhoden is Herisau. This is the largest city in the canton, but with a population of less than 16,000 people. The city has been around since the year 837 AD, and in this time it has been destroyed 3 times by war and once by a fire. Today though, Herisau is a jewel of a city, with its central hamlet and surrounding areas being a heritage site of the Swiss nation. Going for a walk in this magnificent small city is an absolute joy. It looks pretty much the way you would expect a Swiss city to look. Many areas in Europe still hold on to traditions that have pagan roots. Appenzell Ausserrhoden is no exception. The Silvesterklausen is a unique winter festival, still celebrated in a few towns of the canton. It takes place on both New Year's Eve, as well as on the Old New Year's Eve after the Julian calendar on January 13th. The patron saint of the day is Saint Sylvester, hence the name. The Silvesterklause, or New Year's Mamas, put on their strange costumes and walk from home to home, ringing huge bells and singing a very slow yodel. The tradition is thought to have originated in the Middle Ages as a medieval Advent tradition. However, such customs are present in many other European areas and are thought to have their roots in a common, more ancient and pagan tradition, which was meant to scare away evil spirits, the cold of winter, and the long nights. All of these festivals take place around the winter solstice, a significant event in ancient times, which is why it is believed that the Silvesterklausen has pagan origins at its roots. One of the most beloved of Swiss cheeses is the Appenzeller. Appenzeller has a documented history of at least 700 years and is being produced exclusively by dairies in 4 cantons, including Appenzell Ausserrhoden. The hard cow's milk cheese was first mentioned in documents dating from the year 1282, when the people of Appenzell used the cheese they produced as a tithe to the church, giving it to the monks at the Abbey of St. Gallen. Today, 50% of it is sold abroad, and while it may not be the most famous of Swiss cheeses, it is certainly one of the most sought after. The Swiss culture is known throughout the world for its values, such as federalism, neutrality, and direct democracy. In Appenzell Ausserrhoden, this has been taken more literally. The Landesgemeinde, or cantonal assembly, is a public, non-secret ballot voting system, operating by majority rule, which constitutes one of the oldest forms of direct democracy. This institution is of immemorial antiquity and is the supreme legislative authority, electing both the executive and the president. Historically, the only proof of citizenship necessary for men to enter the voting area was to show their ceremonial sword or Swiss military sidearm. This gave proof that you were a free man allowed to bear arms and to vote. Sadly, in Appenzell Ausserrhoden, this institution was abolished in 1997 for practical reasons, and there are only 2 cantons left where the Landesgemeinde is still practiced. These were 7 facts about Appenzell Ausserrhoden. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. Leave your comments downstairs and don't forget there's a Patreon page where you can support this channel. I hope to see you next time. Bye.